Hey, Joseph Villegas here, and I wanted to give a story of the first time I watched Hamilton and sort of pay tribute to this musical. So, here it goes. It was June 21st, 2020, in the midst of the COVID 19 pandemic, and the trailer for Hamilton on Disney Plus surfaced on YouTube. I, at the time, wasn't aware of this trailer even existing. Instead, I found out through the sheer excitement of someone I knew at the time. Seeing this person's excitement going through the roof made me realize I was in for an inevitable viewing of Hamilton. At this time, I've heard of this Hamilton and how it was a musical. And that's it. That was the only knowledge I had of this play. At the time, this play was only 5 years old. So, after a negotiation that I knew I surely wasn't going to win, I gave in. In comes the famous Disney Plus logo on the laptop, because that's where we watched it, a laptop. And in comes Hamilton. Then you hear the famous bum ba da da dum bum bum. How does a bastard you know the lyrics. I might as well say I've watched an entirely different film in my head while daydreaming because I didn't really pay much attention to Hamilton. I gave in, a few minutes. Some parts were interesting, and to be honest, I was mostly focused on the timestamp on the bottom corner, seeing that it was 3 hours long, and I was seeing that timer go. I was looking at the timer. Okay, 2 hours left. Okay, an hour and 30 minutes left. Oh, we have an intermission. It's a minute long. How much do we got? Oh, wow, we're not even halfway there. At the time, I didn't want to watch it because I didn't really like musicals. But we get towards the end. 3 hours later, the crowd roars through the laptop speakers and the credits rolled. Then I was asked, "Did you like it?" Naturally, I didn't want to disappoint and give the honest truth, so I just said, "Yeah, I liked it." Later that day, I couldn't get Hamilton out of my mind. I don't know what it was. I paid somewhat attention, so it was only snippets that I paid attention to, but still couldn't stop thinking about this damn play. So I said, screw it. The following morning, I put on Hamilton, this time on a 55-inch TV. Wow. Let's just say at the end of the movie, I was also cheering and clapping like the audience towards the end. I was completely floored. It became a habit watching Hamilton on Disney Plus, and it became an even more habit listening to it on Spotify, on the car, to school, in general. Every day I was humming the songs, for example, that song. And I would have never imagined that my top songs of 2020 on Spotify Wrapped would be Hamilton songs. Literally, all 5 of them. The first one being My Shot, the second one being The Room Where It Happens, the third one being Say No to This, and yada, yada, yada. That completely surprised me. Anyways, since then, I come to appreciate the work of Lin-Manuel Miranda. It was because of that person I discovered not only his work, but my deeply hidden love of musical theater. After watching Hamilton, and I kept seeing Lin-Manuel Miranda's name appear at the end, I did my research. Who was this guy? And I've come to discover another musical he made, In the Heights, and how floored I was towards the end, but that's a story for another day. The point is, I discovered his work, and from his work, I discovered other people's work of musicals, and almost overnight, I became obsessed with musicals / theater, and I couldn't be more grateful. In fact, I love that part of me. I love discovering new musicals that come out, and since then, I've met so much people in the theater area. I've auditioned for In the Heights, and that was a great experience. But that's all for another day. Point is, it was because of this play that I discovered a lot of things about musicals, and most importantly, I discovered my love for them. Well, 5 years later, Hamilton is finally coming to the big screen, and I couldn't be more excited. We will finally get to be in the room where it happens. Get it? Anyways, my AMC A list will probably be filled with Hamilton tickets that week, and that is totally okay with me. You know, this is very exciting because initially the original plan for Hamilton was supposed to be a theatrical run, but the COVID-19 pandemic happened and Disney bought the rights to it, and it was exclusively available on Disney Plus. And yeah, now that's not the point. That's not the case no more. So I really hope to see you all there. Everyone should go see this play. It's absolutely amazing. You won't regret it. You know, if you don't like musicals, don't try, but this is a tribute and my discovery of this, and it was great to share. Peace.